This is the Be More podcast. I am your host, Jack Williams, and this is a show all about health, nutrition, mindset, and performing at our very best. And this is going to be your catalyst to being more. Welcome to episode number 37 of the Be More podcast. And it is a Monday morning, and it's just gone 20 minutes past 5 in the morning. You're thinking, what's he doing up at that time in the morning recording a podcast? I've already been up an hour and 20 minutes. My 4 a.m. routine is in full flow. So basically, I'm not talking about my morning routine today, but I'm going to tell you about how much I'm enjoying the morning routine and how it's making my personal development a lot more sustainable, consistent. So this would be a good little tip to share, I guess, with you guys. So I like to always try and read 10 pages a day of personal development or of some kind of self-development book. Basically trying to learn every single day, do something positive and grow as a person. So I read a book called The Slight Edge about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And it said in that book, if you do small things daily that are easy to do and easy not to do, if you can consistently do them, you will see great changes in your life. And I made reading 10 pages a day one of them things, and I never managed to really nail down the consistency with it because I wouldn't prioritise the reading versus work or socialising, or basically if I had something else to do, I would always prioritise that. So I needed to try and find a way to basically make myself more accountable, more consistent, and by doing that, I knew I needed to create a habit that I stuck to, whether it was something was happening in my life or whatever. I needed to find something to stick to. So I made the decision after reading a book on sleep. So basically, it all comes together from different personal development. I read a book on sleep mentioning the importance of our circadian rhythm, saying waking up at the same time is like an ideal thing to do. So I took that and I ran with it, and I was like, right, I need to figure out a time that I can wake up at every single day so it doesn't affect my working life as well, because obviously I start work at 6 a.m. most days with clients, or sometimes a little bit earlier. So I knew I needed to give it myself at least an hour and a half before my earliest starting work time, because that's what the book says. So I thought, let's go with 4 a.m. and I can stick to that, and let's try and get to bed by 9. Therefore, I get 7 hours sleep still, which is obviously a good goal point to set towards. Having said that, my sleep times going to bed hasn't been as consistent as my wake up time, but I have started implementing naps into my day around 3 or 4 times a week as well. So yeah, we're getting there with the sleep, but with the reading, hammering it. So getting up at 4 every day, reading every day until 5. So on days that I'm working, I will shower for the first 15-20 minutes, and then it takes me, I spend about 35 minutes reading normally. So, but every single day I'll get through a few chapters of my book, and I'm hammering out books like no other time. And as a result, yeah, I'm making great progress in my personal development, and as a result, I think I'm learning more and then able to achieve more. I 100% believe that the more I invest in myself and my education, the more I can get out of every single day, because you just know more to get more, right? The older you get, the wiser you get, and if you've got more experiences and more knowledge, and like these books are written by people who have been there and done it, right? Mentors always compress decades into days. So one of my favourite sayings that is this year, and I'm finding that this year. So I'm reading a couple of good books at the moment that really are helping me massively in my life. So that's the beauty of personal development. We're 4 minutes in, and I'm waffling about the fact that it's 5 a.m. on a Monday morning, trying to justify why I'm up so early doing a podcast. But yeah, it's so much more productive in the mornings. So today, for example, I work from home, so there's no real need for me to get up at 4, but it's just the process that I enjoy and love, therefore I get up at 4. And even at weekends I do the same, because the circadian rhythm is 7 days a week. It doesn't just stop at weekends like everyone seems to think. Their diet, their lifestyle, all their goals, they stop at the weekends. Not the case at all, and that's the reason why all your results are not basically the way you want them to be. And I had this in my life for a very long time. I would hammer it Monday to Friday and then hammer everything else Saturday and Sunday to realise that the Monday to Friday stuff wasn't working. So yeah, I apply it 7 days a week, and even when I'm on holiday, I still wake up at 4 a.m. and go through my routine. Because by the time it gets to 8 a.m, right, when everyone else is just surfacing, I've done for the day my personal development, a good chunk of work, like my to-do list is in a good place. Like, it's just a much more productive way to go about things. So Robin's leaving her job soon, and there's days where I work from home. Like, I work from home 4 out of 7 days a week, and then PT 3 days a week. 3 or 4 days a week. So some days I do PT on a Friday morning as well, but only for a few hours. So we said that if we were to work from 4 a.m, well, get up at 4, do a stint until like 11. We could then have 11 till 2 off, have 3 hours like going for lunch, doing all sorts of stuff, and then go again from, let's say, 3 in the afternoon. We can include a nap in that time as well, from 3 in the afternoon until, let's say, 7 at night. Then you've already got like, let's say, 7 hours stint in the morning, 4 hours at night. It's an 11-hour working day, and you've had a day off, like a big chunk off in the middle. Like, yeah, it's just the way we like to do things. I'm much more productive in the morning, so it works really well for me to do it, to live life this way. I basically made this whole podcast on the morning routine, but I couldn't recommend it any higher. And if you're someone who wants to get into like self-development or any kind of positive habit, make it a habit, otherwise you won't do it. And I can't explain how much it's helped me to do that. So it doesn't have to mean get up at 4. It could just be in your diary from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. you're going to read. And I tried doing this, right? But the only problem with that is if you have plans, you can't read. Therefore, your habit's out the window, right? Whereas no one's in my diary, funnily enough, from 4 a.m. until 5 a.m. You're not getting in it because no one's awake. And therefore, my phone isn't interrupted. Like, I don't even look at my phone. I literally turn the alarm off at 4, go and do my thing, and I go and get my phone at about 5:30, 6. So no one's going to invest in me that time of day. That's why I like it a lot. Although it's been the summer, so as we're reading, the sun normally comes up at like 4:45 because Robin does it with me. Today hasn't happened, so I think the winter's on its way, guys. So the sun's just coming up now, and I'm super grateful and blessed to live on the seafront. So right now I'm looking ahead and I can see like a big cruiser coming in. So like it's nice to be sat there reading, and sometimes we do it in the evening as well. Like, I don't really watch TV anymore. I wasted money on a big 50-inch TV that I don't even watch. I think I've watched it, just the World Cup game since we've lived in this flat. So don't watch TV anymore. Just literally, I sound really boring, don't I? I sound boring and I sound weird, but this is all about self-awareness. This is just the life that I've grown to enjoy more than sitting there watching things like Love Island. I don't really get much from that. My mates at the weekend, all they did was talk about that. They love it, and I think that's awesome for them. I love what I'm doing, and I think as long as you stay in your own lane and don't judge and don't preach, then it's good. And I think everyone's got their own way of doing things, and I think that's the way why life is so interesting and fascinating. And yeah, here's the Be More podcast, and I'm just ranting on for 8.5 minutes, and I haven't even got to the reason I'm on this podcast today. So the topic today is enjoying the journey, enjoying the process, because it's something that I've struggled with for a long time, and I see it every day in people that they don't really enjoy the process. It's just a graft for the end goal that comes with the process, right? And comes with doing the work. But it's when you enjoy the doing that it becomes sustainable. So this could be in any endeavor. It could be weight loss, it could be business, it could be relationships, it could be anything in life, right? If you don't enjoy the doing that gets you to what you want, you won't keep what you get. And I think that's so, like, I'll give you some examples. For example, competing for me. I went through a stage of competing a few times, and the journey and the process was unsustainable. Therefore, the result that I got from that, doing them things, was never something that I could sustain. I couldn't keep the results because it wasn't an enjoyable process to get there. It was difficult to sustain, and I'd have to sacrifice a lot to be able to sustain it. And I wasn't like prepared mentally to do that. Just like if you'd have said to me, to be fair, it's timing is key for a lot of things as well, right? So 4 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago, if you said to me, right, Jack, you're going to watch, in the space of 4 months of living in your new flat, I reckon you're going to watch TV less than 10 hours, I'd have been like, you're mental. Whereas I think I've literally watched TV for less than 10 hours since I've lived it. So it's just, everything's subjective, and it's never, you're the person you become is always different to the person you are now, and things do change. Actually, I'm going off on a million tangents today, but one, I haven't done a podcast on my own for a while. I met up with my Australian friend James yesterday in London. It was so good to see him. He's over visiting family, and he's actually gone back to Sydney today. Yeah, he's on his way back now. But I saw him 6 months ago, and in that 6 months, so much has changed in both of our lives. It just shows you, when you're focused and when you got your head down, that you can achieve so much in just a short period of time. And we're both excited because I'm not going to see him now until August 2019. So it's like a year away, right? He's coming back to the UK. I've got no trips to Australia planned for the next probably 2 years. But yeah, he's coming back here, and that gives us both a year to collect as many stories as possible to then share with each other. And I know that the direction my life's going in a year, like, a lot will happen, and I just can't wait to catch up with him in a year and be like, this is what happened. Whereas previously, if I was like, I'm not seeing him for a year, I'd be gutted. And then, like, I'm gutted I'm not going to see him, but I wouldn't be excited to be like, because right now I'm so excited about my future, but I'm also so excited about every day, and I'm loving the journey and the process. So whereas before, I would always be looking to the future and not necessarily enjoying the process as much. I thought I was, until now, like the opportunities I've now been presented with, and the growth and the vision and the mission, like, it's making me super motivated. So that's what I wanted to share today. Like, as much as I know where I'm going, it's really exciting. I don't want to lose time. Whereas before, I would wish time away to get to the goal that I'd set, like competing, for example. I'd wish away the 6-week prep to be like, I want us to be on stage now and I want to take the result, Or it would be, I was saving for a car. I want to wish time away until I get the car. Same as when I wanted to move into a flat. Like, I want to wish time away until I get to the flat. And then I've got pictures on my phone of how I want the flat to look. And I'll wish time away because I want to get to that point where the flat looks like that. Whereas now, there is no... I have very little goals that are external. I have very little goals that are exterior, really. All of my goals are within, and they're all interior, because I know that that's where life is lived. Like, you don't live, and I've experienced waiting for external goals to become a reality, and it is never what you think it is going to be. Like, I always wanted a Volkswagen Scirocco. I got one. Like, I know it's not the best car in the world, but that's what I wanted. I wanted one from when I was about 14. I thought that looks like a cool car on the road. It's not too fancy, but it's also really cool. And I think that would be a great car to have as a 23-year-old. And I got one, brand new, and within about 3 or 4 days, the novelty wore off, and I was just like, oh, it's not what I thought it was going to be. Like the feeling just evaporated almost. And it became normal just to get into that car and get out of it every day, and that I wasn't grateful to get in and out of it. So it's made me realise that things don't motivate me as much as how I feel and how I, like, that true purpose every day and that excitement. Like, I didn't wake up every day like I wake up now excited to go and get in my Volkswagen, or to live in a penthouse that I worked really hard towards getting. And then I had this penthouse a few years ago, and then I was just like, same, I wanted to get out of it. Same as I wanted to get out of my car deal, because it wasn't really delivering to me what I thought it was ever going to deliver to me, And I think that's an important thing to mention with goal setting. And the same with when you get into great shape. Like, if you get into great shape via ways that are unsustainable and via ways that aren't necessarily healthy, or what you perceive to be healthy or whatever, then you're not going to keep the results that come from it. So hopefully I've shared something today that's been insightful. and you can hopefully take something valuable from it. Like, a lot of the listeners to the podcast are younger than me, so I am also almost saying this in a way where I hope that my 20-year-old self, if I was listening to this, I would have altered my direction a little bit in life. Because, and also one thing I would do, if I could set any bit of advice to you, if you are listening to this, younger, older, wiser, or not wiser, I would listen to Jim Rohn's audio library. So Jim Rohn has been a massive mentor for me this year. Obviously, unfortunately, Jim Rohn passed away a few years ago, but he's one of the greatest philosophers of all time. Every personal development book you see nowadays has probably been a guy who's been mentored by Jim Rohn at some point, and he's just an absolute legend of philosophy, the way he sees things. And I'm constantly listening to that audio library while I'm running or on my way to work, for example, and there'll be little things in there every day that will just remind me of these things. And I wish I got to hear him and his philosophies and his wisdom way before I have. So 26 now, and I've done this 12-hour audio library in just like a space of a week or something, 2 weeks, and it mind-blowingly good. So I speak about this quite a few times, but so for example, if I run, I'll go for like a 5k, 10k run. Let's say I'm out for like 35, 40 minutes, right? In that time, I'm getting a sweat on, I'm getting a workout, and I'm listening to something educational for that same amount of time. So you're literally killing two birds with one stone. So I can't recommend enough. Like, I don't know how you listen to this podcast, or I don't know how you listen to whatever it might be, but it's just such a great way to do things, especially if you're busy. Like, if you've got a busy work style, lifestyle, if you've got kids or whatever, then you only get 40 minutes a day to exercise or whatever. Exercise and do personal development at the same time. Two birds, one stone, and you'll feel awesome afterwards. So every day I'm pretty much doing that now. And it's a much more sustainable way of doing things because you can cram things into one. But some sayings that Jim Rohn has shared with me recently, that I've shared on social media, or I'm going to share today in the podcast, that are really moving, and I wish I'd heard them sooner, so definitely invest in that. But a saying that I shared yesterday on my Instagram was, you can't change the way the wind blows, but you can change the set of the sail. So the seasons are always going to be the seasons. Unless you move to Australia every time it's the winter in the UK, you're always going to go through all 4 seasons, right? And you can't change the seasons. And you can't change the way the wind goes, you can't change how it rains, but you can change how you respond to it. And you can change the set of the sail, you can change whether you've got an umbrella or not, you can change the direction that you take in your life, and you're in control of that completely. You can change your career, you can change your body shape, that you can change your relationships. You are in control of where you're going in your life, and that's something that not enough people are aware of. They just think, oh, I come out of school, I need to get an apprenticeship, or I need to go to college, then I need to get a degree, or I need to go get a job, and I need to develop through the corporate world or the retail world or whatever industry you go into. And you think, I just need to work my way up in this company, pay into a pension, and then when I'm 70, I'll be able to stop working. In that time, I'll get one holiday a year, maybe, if I'm lucky, if I can save, and I'll live somewhere. And at 70, I'll then get a pension that pays me about half what I'm earning now. So then I can't really afford a great lifestyle as an old person. Like, that's the rule book, right? That no one wants to live by. And yet we're brainwashed and conditioned to thinking that's the way we have to do it. And it simply isn't. It isn't. There is another way. There's many better ways. And what's most important, like, I'm not saying there's a better way for everyone, because some people need that. For some people, a job is the best option, and that isn't a good or bad thing. That's just what that person suits. Like, not everyone has entrepreneurial like qualities or needs. Like, for me, I wouldn't say when I started I had entrepreneurial qualities. I would say I had an inability to be employed. I would say I was almost unemployable. I very much struggle with having a boss, having a time to be somewhere. Whereas when it's on my schedule, I'll happily, I've not missed a client session in 5 years. Like if I say I want to be somewhere, I'll be somewhere. But when I'm told, I never work well from having my own boss. Therefore, personal development, no, like personal training, running my own business, and now network marketing for me works so well because I'm in complete control over everything in my life. My income, I'm in control of. Uncapped. There's no cap on my potential. I make as much as I'm worth, and the value that I bring to the marketplace will then return my income. Whereas in a job, your income is decided by your boss. And for me, I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that I had to ask for holiday. I didn't like the fact that I had to ask for days off. As a result, I never asked for days off because I love what I do. But if I was in a job that I didn't like this is all about self-awareness, right? I'm not preaching this is how everyone should live their life. I'm saying this is what I know about me, and I knew that it would never work for me to have a job. So that's why I've gone down this path that I have. Not sure where, but yeah, that's what I was going at with regards to setting a sail. So you can set a sail whatever you want, however you want. You need to decide, what do I want to do? Because at the end of the day, you're only here once. That is the truest. Well, I don't want to preach on what you might think you're going to come back as. You might not. You might think I'm going to come back and do it again. And if that's the case, then brilliant, we get a second chance. But in this life, that we only get one opportunity to do whatever we want to do. Like, I always think, I'm 26 right now. I'm only going to be 26 once. And you need to be real self-aware and realise that you only are going to get one crack. So what do you want to do with that one crack? Do you want to go and do you want to travel? Perspective and the way, it's all subjective, right? I don't have me try and put things in your head. But for example, met an Uber driver yesterday in London. He lives his life learning a new language every 2 years. And I said to him, "Oh, how do you learn the language?" He went, "I learn by doing." And I was just looking at this guy thinking, I like this guy a lot. He was just like, he's a Somalian guy. And he's, 6 languages now. And every 2 years he learns a new one. And he goes to the country, he's learning the language, gets a part-time job, and just learns by speaking to people. And I was just like, that is unbelievably cool. And I just felt so ignorant because I was sat in this taxi talking to this guy. I speak one language and I barely speak that very well. And there he was, like, sharing all these languages that he speaks. And I just thought, that's awesome. Like, it isn't my cup of tea. It isn't how I'm going to go and live my life now. But I think it's awesome. And I think the more conversations you have with people that like this kind of, that live life in this kind of way, which isn't very frequent, by the way. The majority of people I speak to, job mentality, that's it. Or they have their own business and that's it. Like, that's the only way for them. But just speak to people and have an awareness of the way they view things. Like, for me, the best networking I did was when I went traveling, because everyone was just like in the same boat. Like, you'd be in a hostel and everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, like, I just wanted to go and see the world." Boom, straight away, instantly something in common. "Oh yeah, I like the idea of just waking up and doing what I want with my day." Boom, something in common straight away. And then, yeah, the people they don't want to live their life in the same place the whole time. Whereas in where you live, I guarantee there's people who have never left, never will leave, and they just love that repetition of that. Now, there's awesome traits to be taken from them people as well, because repetition is what makes any business work. But yeah, it's very difficult to do a podcast that's so generic, because there's so many different listeners to this, and I can't really pinpoint. But all I'm doing is sharing my own experience, and I just think, yeah, he was a cool taxi driver. And the point I'm trying to make is, do what you want to do. Go do you. Don't be part of a system that tells you there's a certain way to do things. Like, that system works really well for a lot of people, hence why it's in place. But if it doesn't work for you, you haven't got to stick to it. You hire a free bird to go and do whatever you want to do. And the leaving quote I want to leave you with, which is also Jim Rohn, is, don't get through the day. Like, if you find yourself always getting through the day, there's a good chance that you aren't going to get anything from it. So the secret is to don't get through the day, but to get from the day. Focus on what you can get from every single day rather than focusing on getting through it. Enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, have goals, but don't let them distract you from how much gratitude you should have for every single day working towards that, and reverse engineer that goal in a way that makes sure that it determines how your actions are in alignment to getting there, and make sure them actions are sustainable, make sure they're fun, make sure they're enjoyable, make sure they're things that empower you, motivate you, inspire you. Do tasks that you enjoy, because I guarantee you'll do them better than if you do things that you don't. Be self-aware, know when to do things, know that, oh, I'm a morning person, I'm going to crack out these things in this order because that's how I'm going to be best. And these are the things you learn by doing. You don't learn these by constantly writing things down and doing vision boards and putting nothing into practice. You learn by doing. I've learned all this stuff from doing. Like, I have to do this every single day. I have a chunk in my journal every day saying lessons learned, and it is always the biggest chunk in my journal because I learn so much every single day because I'm getting from the day. I'm not getting through it. But I haven't always been this way. I used to always get through the day at uni, college, school. Even my early stages of running my own business, I would get through every single day because I didn't enjoy the process. I didn't know the process. I didn't understand myself. I wasn't self-aware. But I don't know if it's a case of age or personal development or my journal and reflection and trying to get from the day. Like, you learn more and more. And every day is there as an opportunity. Like, it sounds rah-rah and it sounds cheesy. But when you see life in this way, the progress you can make is huge. I'm not going to see James for a year. In that year, a lot will happen in my life. I'll move the needle really, really far from where I am now and the stories I've told James in the last 6 months to where I'll be in a year's time. And that's just what happens when you are very, very focused and tunnel vision on what you want to achieve, but at the same time, enjoying the process. Like, I'm enjoying this right now. Like, I'm enjoying every part of my day. Like, today, for example, I've somehow managed to now another speaking event that I've got. So I spoke on Thursday evening in front of 300 people. Today it's not as big a group. I'm speaking on motivation. Like, I'm loving this. Like, for me, this is just what I want to be doing. This is in alignment with who I want to be and the things I want to do. And I'm just super grateful, lucky, happy, and just, this is the happiest I've been in my life. So I really want to share it. I want to document it. And I want to show you guys that you'll go through periods in your life where you don't feel like there's a better way. You feel like, oh, I'm stuck in this rut. You won't wake up infused. You won't wake up with energy. You won't wake up excited. And I've had this for a huge majority of my life, I'd say, because now how I wake up and how I feel, like, I've got this untapped energy, like bulletproof mindset like I've not had before, and I'm just truly excited. And this comes from doing the things that are in alignment with the person you want to be and the goals you've got set, and being consistent on them every single day. Because we all have a person we want to become. We all have goals we want to achieve, but very few people nail them because it's difficult. But the more self-aware you become, the easier it is for you to align yourself with the actions that get you to that goal. And that's what makes you more confident. That's what makes you more excited. It's by doing, and it's by constantly achieving. And it's only small things. It isn't big things. Just focus on the small daily things that you can do that can help you move forward. And just nail them. And it could be so subjective. It could be so small. It could be laying some flowers in your garden to then watch them grow. Like that. What a great way to look at things as well. Because that is, at the end of the day, like the small little things of planting the seed, helping it, like watering it. I don't know how you grow a flower, but these are the little things that you do that without them, you can't have a better flowers anyway. Yet people are scared to make the first step of setting a training program or making a business plan or having a conversation with someone that could open a door to an opportunity. People are not doing the first little steps that are essential for this thing to come to fruition. So yeah, I've gone off on a million tangents. I'm not sure what anyone's going to think of this podcast, but hopefully you took some value from it. If you have, give me a thumbs up and a review, and I'll be super grateful. And if you do find these podcasts useful, if you do enjoy them, then please do hand them on to someone else, because then we can then obviously experience the ripple effect, and that's what I want. That's what I see. Like, that's where my vision is, because if I just got people on this listen to this podcast who I knew, it would only go so far. That only so many people would be living the be more mentality, right? Whereas, for example, I've got another tangent. Went out on Saturday with the lads, and we said about how there's 15 of us here. I think there's 14, 15, and all of us have come from a different friend. If that makes sense. So, for example, I knew Tom at the beginning. Tom then met Jack. I then met Jack. We become good friends. I then brought Josh into the group because I met him. Josh then brought in 2 people. Then 2 people then brought in 1 person. Like, it's just that it's not who you know, it's who other people know, and then all of a sudden you become a group. And that's what I want to try and create with the Be More community, is just try and have people from all walks of life, from different people, listening to this podcast and hopefully getting value from it. And then if they can go and apply it, like, I don't even need to know about it, but if they're helped by it, then it's done what I want it to do. And it's taken up 31 minutes of this Monday morning and of your time, and hopefully it's brought value that you can then go and apply yourself in a direction that helps you move towards where you want to be. And that's what I want for this podcast. And if one person gets out of this 30 minutes, then it's been worthwhile. But yeah, we're 37 episodes in now, I think. And I've always said about the goal of getting to 100 and where the podcast will be when I'm at that point. But every episode I'm enjoying in the process, every edit of every episode and every post of every episode I'm enjoying. So it isn't like, I've got to get to 100. It's like, I've got to enjoy the way to 100. Then at 100, I'll celebrate that short-term win. Then I'll go to 200. Then it'll be the same to 300. Then it'll be the same to 1,000. Who knows where this podcast might go. But yeah, exciting times. Have an awesome week. And I will catch up with you guys later on in the week. I believe I'm getting a guest on the podcast this week who would be awesome. So I'm excited to share that. But yeah, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.